live.
Oh, look who it is.
Who is it?
Oh.
He's looking for his golf cart. Hey, we hit Luke's golf cart.
We hit it. Luke Rockhold. Hey, we're on live. We're on live, so please be very careful what you say. We're on live. There's a lot of people watching.
Live chat and everything.
Where's my golf cart?
What golf cart?
Where's my golf cart?
Luke Rockhold's looking for his golf cart.
Golf cart?
Why are you so bloody?
Because I work.
Dude, where's my car?
All right, we got a special guest in here. Hey, come here, come over here, come over here real quick. We have a very special guest in here, Luke Rockhold, and it seems that someone got the best of him today.
No. I just we found out he had his period and I broke.
All right, we're on live. We're on live, Luke. The worst guy to have on in here. What are you looking for, brother? We're getting ready to do the UFC recap. Arman, our boy, he destroyed everybody.
Arman looked fantastic.
Oh, nice of you to want to throw in a few one-liners.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I bet on Arman. I bet him, and I bet the under. My man made some money for me. Thank you.
Well, good thing you're betting now that you're not a fighter, since that's a very sensitive subject going on in the world right now.
You can bet on yourself to win.
Can you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bet on people to win too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Chat, what do you think about Luke Rockhold getting ready for a massive fight? He has just announced it.
It's a wrestling match.
It's a wrestling match.
A massive wrestling match. And
it's
it's
like jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is not fighting and wrestling is not fighting.
Oh, God.
Fighting is fighting.
Oh, God. He's doing this thing again where he just goes, he's doing this thing where he starts playing ping pong with himself.
I got a fight coming up.
So jiu-jitsu's not fighting? Of course it's fighting.
No, it's a match.
It's a match. Okay, so Luke Rockhold has a massive grappling match coming up. And it is again. Can I say who it is?
No, you can't say.
Okay, but it's
It
against.
might be in Chicago next week when
It's the pride of America, and it's in Chicago. And this man is definitely. He wants his ways with you. I've heard him already talk a little bit of trash in a group chat.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I know his name. I've been texting him all week, and he said, "Make sure Luke's cardio is where it needs to be." How is your cardio right now?
I think that's what he's banking on.
How is your cardio? How is your cardio?
I'm long and I'm strong.
Long is so
All I want to know is
I'm strong and I'm down to get the
how do you go to wrestling practice and then you have a bloody knee, you have a bloody ankle, you're still wearing your wrestling shoes? Where's your golf cart?
Where's my golf cart?
Someone asked Frank Shamrock where Luke Rockhold's golf cart is.
Someone stashed my golf cart. He put it in neutral and he moved it somewhere.
Chat, this morning, Luke Rockhold parked his golf cart in the entranceway of the Jaxxon Media House, allowing nobody to be able to get in and out of the entrance door. He believes that this is his domain, and he believes that no one should be able to walk in and out of his studio.
You're so fucking predictable.
So now we have
So predictable.
So now we have a massive issue with Luke Rockhold's things. So, Luke, what I would suggest you do, we're on live, Luke. I would suggest you go outside and you look around the parking lot for your golf cart, and Frank Shamrock's out there. Oh, my God. Get that thing out of here. It smells like cheese and cottage. Yeah, I'm sure your golf cart's somewhere out there, brother, in the parking lot. Next time you park your golf cart, you remember that there's a bunch of people here, not just you. So this morning, Luke Rockhold decided to park his golf cart in our entrance. Me and TJ put that thing in neutral. We parked it all the way on the far end of the parking lot behind Frank Shamrock's RV. If you watch the Jaxxon Behind the Brand, you'll know about that. Hey, call Frank Shamrock. See if he's outside. Let me call this guy.
It's going to take him forever to find it.
Hey, chat, do any of you guys want to see Frank Shamrock on the live as we start getting ready to talk about this Behind the Brand? Let's see what the chat says about Frank Shamrock being in here. Let me see. Frank Shamrock. Let me call him real quick. He's outside. Frank Shamrock got a brand new RV, and he's basically camping. And then he decided to hide Luke Rockhold's golf cart. We're doing an amazing UFC recap today. Me and TJ are so excited. Frank, are you outside?
Luke didn't wear his shirt till he was 19.
Frank. Frank, are you here? Frank just hung up on me. Frank illegally parked his RV in the red, and it almost got towed last night. So I had to help Frank Shamrock get his RV.
But the greatest thing about it, it's not even an RV. It's an ambulance that he turned into an RV.
Yeah, Frank Shamrock took an ambulance and converted it into a camper.
Yeah.
Let me just chat before we start. I'm going to let him know. Hey, Frank, if you're outside the gym, if you want to come in here, me and TJ are doing a Jaxxon podcast recap of the UFC fight with Arman and Hooker. Come in if you want to hang out.
Was it ill-based? You asked if I bet on what? I definitely bet on the fights, but what fights you talking about?
Luke, your golf cart has a flat tire, and it was not for me, so don't blame me for your flat tires. I don't want to hear about your flat tires anymore. I got to do the podcast. God, he's blaming me for his flat tires.
Like, I can't dump it in my mouth, bro. It's like big pieces of steak.
What the hell? TJ, come on, chat. All right, chat, here we go. Rampage will be in and out of the studio. He's live streaming, so we wanted to get right back down to business and make sure you guys still get the recap as soon as possible. So our good friend, the one and only, the greatest co-host of all time, TJ Dillashaw, stepped in!
Yeah! All right, I got my biggest fans here.
Hey, Frank Shamrock, if you could come in here, we're going to be talking about leg locks and breaking people's ankles. We'd love to have you as one of the co-hosts for the recap. I'm sure the audience would love you. No, of course, they know who you are. See you back. All right, so everybody, if Frank Shamrock comes on here, you make sure you show him respect. The dude's a legend. Last time he was on here, people kept calling him Ken. Oh, you just did the 6'7"? And everybody kept calling him Ken. I thought that was very disrespectful. All right, so we're going to jump right into this. First of all, there's very few people that can get a short notice fight in a few days and just fly in and do it. You got to be a heavyweight to do that, right, TJ?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start with the Acosta fight.
Unless you're moving up, doing a catch weight or something, the only one that can actually jump in their weight class like this is heavyweight. And it was just legendary, right? They call him on Wednesday. The fight's in Qatar. You have to fly all the way across the world. That's 12-hour difference. Call him on Wednesday. He's in Arizona. He just fought 2 weeks before that. Called him on Wednesday. He flies, shows up on Friday, runs the weigh-ins, weighs in, fights, gets the knockout. It just doesn't get cooler than that. That's a fantastic story.
Now, what did you think about the way they fought? What do you think about the heavyweight division? We're going to pull up the heavyweight fight right now. They're both about the same height, same age, both sitting at 265 weighing in, both have a 78 reach, 34, 35. They're both around the same fighter, right? Technically speaking. From the stats that we were given before the fight. What do you think about the heavyweight division? What do you think about this fight?
I mean, the heavyweight division is probably the weakest division right now. Not very deep. With that said, I mean, it's still dangerous. As you can see, you get in here and you get dropped by a heavyweight with a jab, right? So they all have power in their hands. You can't sit there and take punches. Waldo looked a little bit more athletic, right? He's getting his back pushed up at the cage, looking for countering. And he slips a hook and lands a step forward southpaw jab with all his weight behind it, which started the finish.
Now, a lot of people talk about Tam Aspinall, Cyril Gane, Alexander, Sergey, Curtis Blades. The top five is pretty stacked. It's pretty big dudes. You have Derek Lewis sitting at 8, Tai Tuivasa sitting at 12. We see big guys like Marcus Puchesha making their way into the heavyweight division, who has an amazing jiu-jitsu background, and he's also a Jaxxon athlete, Santos Studio athlete. The heavyweight division seems to be in a little bit of a disarray as we're waiting to see what John Jones is going to do, what Alex Pereira is going to do. A lot of people talk about the heavyweight division needing more talent, but I feel like it has the right talent. It just needs the right fights.
I guess so. I mean, it'd be nicer if they had deeper talent, but you got to think when you're an athletic man that weighs up to 265 pounds, most of them are choosing to play basketball, baseball, football. Usually don't have the best athletes in the world becoming fighters, right? They are great. They're great athletes. And you list off the top 5, they're amazing, right? But I wouldn't say the roster's as deep as you would get in the lighter weight classes. That's just me speaking out as a little man, because that's the only professional sport we can do, right?
Little guys?
Yes. What else? What other professional sport can I play?
What classifies a little guy?
I don't know, someone that's not over 6 feet and weighs almost 300 pounds.
I'm about 5'10", 180.
You're a little guy.
I'm a little guy, 5'10", 180.
Yeah, you're a little guy.
Really? Even with the hands that I
throw?
For
professional sports.
Got it.
Think about professional sports. What professional sport are you going to go play?
Chat, what would you consider a little guy? What weight, what age, what size? But yeah, I get where you're going with this, TJ. You're talking about that the talent pool is a lot deeper in the littler divisions because of the ability for the bigger guys to go play real life sports, which is real contact sports like football or baseball.
Yeah, they're playing sports. They're not fighting. Fighting's rough, man. It's tough. It's not everyone has the right mentality to be able to do it. And if you're a very athletic guy and you can get played for dunking a ball, you're going to go do that rather than getting knocked out.
Got it. Now, would you feel that the heavyweight division has been making the right matchups lately? Or do you feel like even the matchups could use a little bit of work?
I think, the matchups they're making, the ones they kind of have to make, to be honest. It's not super, super deep. So tough to say.
Got it. A lot of people were not confused, but they were asking, when is the heavyweight announcement going to be made for the White House? When are people going to know what Alex Pereira is going to be doing with John Jones? Is John Jones going to be coming back? And they thought they were going to get some sort of remedy to the situation before the Qatar fight in the press conference. It was a rumor that they were going to break some news, but they didn't. Do you feel at this point this is a good time for the UFC to come out and say what John Jones is going to be doing, what Alex Pereira is going to be doing?
I mean, Dana White said it multiple times. They're not going to say anything about the UFC White House card until after February.
Got it.
Right? Like, even if they do figure it out, they're not going to tell anyone, right? So they're going to wait till into Q1 next year before they start telling anyone who's fighting in the White House card.
The chat saying anybody under 5'6" is a little guy.
Under 5'6"?
Yeah.
I think even under 5'10". I agree with this at under 5'10". Like, I don't know.
Where is the legend here?
He's here, yeah.
Hey, bring in the legend.
5'9" and 3/4.
This was a little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always want to be taller.
Right here.
Damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We're not going to do measure offs.
Rampage Shamrock!
There's not like a height weigh-in, is there? Because
Frankie,
I never do well on those tests.
did Luke Rockhold find his golf cart?
He did, yeah. I tried to. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's over there, bro.
Hey, Frank, so sit in as long as you want. We're live on the podcast. We're on YouTube. And we're doing a full live. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, in the group chat, I need you guys to show love to Frank Shamrock. Leave some comments. This is the one and only, you know? And if any of you guys have been watching our podcast, you've been seeing him in and out of here. He's been hanging out at the Jaxxon Media House. He's been training again. I watched him dice up a few youngins. He put somebody in the dirt last week. I feel like you should almost make a comeback with the way you've been sparring.
I don't know, bro. I'm old as shit.
So next we're about to talk about a fight where there was a little bit of a mismatch with the weight classes going into the fight, with people missing weight, you know, and people talking about what weight classes people should be at. I know, TJ, when it comes to weight, when it comes to figuring out what division you should be fighting in, when it comes to figure out how deep you should be going on cuts, you're probably one of the best to talk about it. You went through some crazy stuff in your career. What do you feel about this fight going in with Jack and Myktybek?
Myktybek had to go up. He missed weight 2 times in a row, right? So you miss lightweight twice. Like, the UFC is going to lean on your management. Your team's going to be like, hey, I think it's time to move up. You're missing weight. You're making it too hard on yourself. So going up's a lot easier. It's a lot healthier for you. It's a lot easier to go up. You know, Jack's a big guy, and he was fighting middleweight going down to welterweight. That's a big cut, right? He is older too. I think, what is he, 36, I believe? Like, especially later in your career.
Myktybek's like 27.
Losing that much weight, like, it's not that easy to do. It's hard on your body. And then you got to remember the last thing to rehydrate after you make weight is your brain, right? So rehydrating yourself and being ready to get punched in the head and trying to avoid getting concussed and knocked out, it's a little bit easier. Not saying that's exactly what happened, because Myktybek hit him in a spot that shuts the lights out on almost anyone. You hit him in the ear, behind the ear. If I could choose to hit anyone when we're on our feet, that's where I'm hitting them, because it just takes away all your equilibrium. So it could have been a double combo of just the right spot, as well as maybe he's just cutting a little bit too much weight.
Hello.
You know?
Frank, what do you think? You're very influential in the space of pioneering the game of cutting up weight, going up and down. You fought at middleweight. I don't know how a guy like your size and weight would fight a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, but how do you kind of figure out the exact weight class a fighter should be at, or where you naturally should be?
Well, back in the day when we were towing wagons, it was pretty much your natural body weight. Like, it was within like 7 or 8 pounds of your natural body weight. And we kind of like, you know, measured that. And then if you gained muscle, or if you like kind of bulked up through like a, you know, like a over a term or a season or whatever, then we kind of move you to the next weight. But yeah, most people, I'm 191 pounds at my best. And so my weight class is 185 at my best.
Yeah.
I could go to 170, but I have to cut a ton of weight. I'd have to like suck all the nutrients out of my body. And that's just not something that I would do.
Yeah.
But that's just because I don't want to get punched in the head and not be, you know, at 100%.
Do we feel like a lot of the fighters nowadays are cutting too much weight, trying to kind of be weight bullies?
Not always. There are some, right? And it also depends too on some guys' just structure too, right? Like Josh Emmett, for instance. That guy's a tank that I train, right? But he's just too short, and his frame's just a little bit too small for 155, in my opinion. He's a 145 pounder, but he's got to cut a lot of fucking weight. I think the best way to understand what weight class you should go is to get in the gym and start training at, for instance, I knew I was a 35 pounder because I felt my best training at like 150 to 152. Like, that's where I felt my best. 15 pounds is pretty good, easy water drop for me, fight week. So that's like where I did my best. But if I was training at 60 to 65. I felt a little bit sluggish. I felt slower. So I felt like 45s maybe wasn't my most ideal weight. 25s obviously wasn't. I was too lean to drop the weight. So I think practicing at the weight you're going to compete at in the cage is the best way to tell where you're going to be your best. Because
Natural weight.
yeah, when I weighed 135, even though I weighed in at 135, I would walk into the cage either weighing 150 to 152. Right. And that's
You would gain that much weight overnight.
Yeah, in 36 hours. Usually like one of the last fights, right? So it's like 30 to 36 hours of my fight time to where I'm going to walk in the day. Like that's the same weight that I've been practicing at every day. And with my coach Calavita towards the end of my career, I knew that if I was 150 pounds on Sunday that I made weight, especially because I was going to hyperhydrate and move fluid around to where I knew if I was 150 on Sunday before weigh-ins, weigh-ins are on Friday, that I knew that I made weight. So I mean, obviously the science of making weight's gotten a lot better. Even better. I mean, when I wrestled in college and I did not know what I was doing, I was cutting weight the wrong way and depleting my body and just running it into the ground. Even when I was a champion first, before I met Sam, like I wasn't cutting weight the right way. I learned so much from Calavita.
How important when you're cutting weight is it to kind of rehydrate, refuel the right way? I see a lot of fighters, they've talked about they put on the weight too fast. Frank, you want to kind of break us down?
We talked about the intravenous stuff.
Yep.
I've never done that, but it makes sense. Like you got to get that, fluids and electrolytes back into your body if you're going to get, impact or otherwise. I didn't even know they were doing that.
How was it in Japan when you guys would weigh in and then kind of refuel?
Cut weight and be all thirsty and our lips would be dry and then we'd spit a whole bunch and then we'd go in and weigh and it would suck like old school wrestling. We didn't have the science. We didn't know what was going on. And luckily, like I think I talked about last time, I was 189 pounds. I never cut any weight. So I just witnessed the experience. I never had to participate in it until much later in my career.
TJ, do you feel like Sam Calavita and what you guys do at the training lab kind of reimagined and kind of redeveloped the weight cutting process and kind of the rehydration process? We've seen an amazing weight cut from Arman now. We've seen amazing weight cut from Khamzat Chimaev, amazing weight cuts from you and other fighters there.
Absolutely. I mean, Sam has it down to a T to where he knows, he tracks my weight throughout fight camp. I tell him my truest weight in the morning when I wake up. Your truest weight throughout the day is when you wake up in the morning after you pee. Yeah, that's your truest weight. And so I'd always tell him when I'd wake up, like how much weight so then he would know how much weight I'm floating at night before I go to bed and when I'd wake up. Knowing he knows how hydrated I am and he knows how much my body's going to lose throughout the sleep and throughout the day. And so he knows the calories I need to eat and then also how much to water load, So when I said on Sunday, if I'm 150 pounds, I knew I made weight. Then he starts me with my water load. Usually it's roughly around on that day, 2 gallons of water. And he whittles it down until like the day before weigh-in. So we kind of almost cut fluids, maybe you're drinking 16 ounces. And in doing that, I'm just like dropping water weight like crazy, but also staying insanely hydrated. So my brain's staying hydrated. I'm also drinking electrolytes at the same time. I'm not just drinking water because I'll deplete all the minerals from my body. So I'm drinking in, sodium, potassium, magnesium to keep my muscles firing the right way while I'm losing weight.
We have an interesting comment here in the chat from AR Everything 169. He says, why did DC do so good? Because he had skill, no excuse other than being a weight bully. Do you believe that DC was a weight bully?
I mean, he went up to heavyweights and won a title as well too. So I mean, you can't say he's a weight bully. He went up to a weight class.
He wasn't big enough to be a weight bully. You gotta be big to be a weight. I don't think that exists.
Yeah.
And he was a really good wrestler. Like,
did you encounter any weight bullies while you were fighting in Japan?
Well, I didn't know about weight bullies. I was from wrestling and I was from martial arts. So I didn't know that there was another group that were trying to get more weight to do X. I didn't know it existed until I, confronted it, and then it didn't make sense to me.
By you going down and then you going up, was the idea to just try to win as many belts as possible, be a double champ, or was the idea because you thought you'd perform at a lighter weight?
No, I was just going down to 25s to get rid of the weight class.
Oh my God. Jesus. Hello.
That's
baby.
TJ.
Get rid of that shit.
That's what they wanted. So still today, it's not.
I didn't know this.
It's not very deep, right? And
Yeah.
it was they're paying these guys, and there wasn't as much. It wasn't like they just want all the 25 pounders to fight 35. So if I could go down and be the champ at 25s and 35s, they could just get rid of the weight class. And this is something they wanted, and they paid me handsomely to try to do it.
Got it.
That's and then also just like, being a double champ. I mean, Connor was able to show like how lucrative that was, and just a lot of options on the table for me to go out there and do something that someone hadn't really done,
Got it. Did you find it harder to cut weight and rehydrate at a lighter weight than you did at a heavier weight? Obviously, it's a natural weight for you, but what about the rehydration part?
The rehydration was all right. My body just, again, I lost too much fluid on my brain. Right. And
that's a real thing, huh?
It's real, bro. The water surrounds your brain and protects you.
Yeah. And it's the last thing
you're not supposed to suck it out.
So your body is an amazing thing. Right. And so it's going to rehydrate the things that are most important first to keep you alive. Your internal organs. Yeah. Your brain's got to keep functioning. But when you're starving to death, they don't expect you to be fucking Einstein, right? They just want to keep you alive.
Or getting punched in the head.
In the head, right? So that's the last thing to get rehydrated, especially when you cut that much weight. It was real tough. So yeah, obviously it was the toughest thing I ever done.
Is there a formula for fighters for rehydrating before we go into this fight? Is there a specific formula people should follow? Like how much water you should have, how much food you should eat, what types of food you should eat?
Electrolytes?
Yeah. I mean, it changes for everyone, but first thing you got to put in your body is electrolytes right after weigh-ins. And I see some people here saying like, just put sugar and salt in your body. It's like,
and lemon water.
It's like,
not
no,
enough,
man.
bro. It's not enough.
Yeah. And also I avoid any kind of added sugars. I mean, I'll do obviously sugars from fruit and things like that, but added sugars is a waste of calories. So to be honest, what you want, that's why Wild Society, we make a great electrolyte powder, the right kind of magnesium, right? Because you need magnesium in your muscles to fire correctly and communicate with your brain. Same with potassium. And then the sodium is what's going to rehydrate all of your cells. So you need sodium citrates, you want magnesium glycinate, you want potassium citrates. These kind of things are going to help your muscle and brain communicate together. And then adding on the right fuel when it comes to food afterwards as well too. Like Sam Calavita has a post weigh-in shake that's amazing. Like it's got white potato flakes in it, right? Because it absorbs very fast and spikes your insulin. Because when you're about to make weight, you're insulin depleted. Like you're like a glycogen battery ready to, like, because once you like put that glycogen back in your body, you look like a bodybuilder. Like you get all vascular, your muscles fill up with like glycogen, and you're ready to compete. So he's got this post weigh-in shake that works great. We used to just make it on our own before we had a product. We would just like blend up potato flakes, some green juice, kombucha.
You throw everything in there.
Creatine, amino acids, like a bunch of stuff. All the stuff your body needs first after weigh-ins.
And now as you go into this fight, now you saw obviously someone having to move up, someone having to move down, people needing to win this fight. What did you think about Jack and Myktybek?
I think it's easier to go up than it is to go down. And you saw the speed difference within this fight. Like Myktybek was way faster, right? Yeah, I mean, Jack's gonna be a bigger frame guy, but he couldn't catch him. He's a little bit too slow. And the punch didn't have to land that hard, but it hit him in the right spot to put him out. And he went out pretty bad from that shot too. So it could be, like I said, something where he didn't have the fluid back on his brain. You see how much slower that hook was compared to Myktybek pulling and coming back with his own cross.
It was like a glancing shot too. It wasn't like super solid.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it.
And if you go back and look at my fight against Cejudo when I cut to 25s, like his pinky hardly even touched the back of my head, and it just like takes away your equilibrium. You know, I don't think I had the fluid back on my brain. There was a couple things that went into that, but it's a lot easier to go up. I think cutting weight's overrated, especially if you're not going to do it the right way.
And how pivotal is it in terms of like when you are rehydrating to make sure, because people keep talking about the amount of liquid and the amount of food you eat, but then going into the fight, how pivotal is it to kind of do it fast and not fast? Because we heard about people kind of rehydrating within like the first hour, but I remember on a podcast you were talking about how the rehydration process should take overnight throughout the day. Like it can't just happen so fast, because we saw a lot of guys who have talked about that being an issue this year.
Well, you're naturally going to want to just like drink a shit ton of water. That's the hardest part of cutting weight. It's not the food. Like I could do a 3-day water fast. Yeah, it sucks, right? But it's the dehydration the last day that gets you. It's like, I remember like wrestling as a kid, and I'd be like walking down the sidewalk, and if I could drink that puddle on the ground and maybe even had a cigarette but I wouldn't gain weight, I would have done it, you know? Because like that's what kills you. It's like the dehydration. So yeah, guys are going to guzzle water down, and you do that. But yes, it's the rehydration the right way with the right minerals added to it throughout the night, right? We used to be able to IV. They took that away. And I actually think you can rehydrate better naturally anyways, if you're doing it the right way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good insight too, because a lot of people who wrestle in high school, a lot of people who do sports are constantly cutting weight. I don't feel like there's an actual formula. It's kind of everybody has their own idea.
Yeah.
Every coach has their own system.
Well, it's even harder for wrestling because a lot of times you weigh in an hour after you weigh in. You know, so like you don't get a 36 hours like I do when I'm competing for one night. In wrestling, it's like a 6-month, 9-month season, and you're wrestling every other weekend or every weekend in dual matches, and you're competing in an hour after weigh-in. So it's even more pivotal to not cut too much weight, get the right water and electrolytes, creatine in your body right away after weigh-in so that you are rehydrated for that fight.
Did they officially ban IVs?
Yeah.
They did. Why is that?
Good.
Because they don't want you to mask drugs. So they drug test you after weigh-ins. They'll drug test you after your fight. And there's been a lot of science behind like people can flush fluids out of the body by
Is that a real thing?
by
Really?
doing like a lot of water to make
You have no idea.
to make your urine clear to where they can't find drugs.
Why do you say that, Frank?
Bro, because I was on the road one day and I met a guy who was really mad at my brother. And I says, well, what's your beef, man? And he goes, well, listen, he would have never passed his steroid test without me. And I go, listen, I don't know you, but what's up? And he goes, I'm so mad at your brother. And I go, well, what's the deal? He goes, I did all of his urine. And I go, what?
Frank, we're on live. We
I
can't
know,
edit
but
this.
I'm just, this happened to me. I'm traveling on my journey. I meet a man, he's a doctor, and he tells me these things. And I go, oh, that's interesting. And he's like, yeah, I replaced all of his urine. That's why he passed these tests. And then he says,
One round of applause for Frank.
and then he says he won't pass the next one.
Wow.
I guarantee it. And then he didn't. And then I was like, oh, maybe this guy's speaking the truth. I don't know this guy. I met him on the road. Seemed like a lovely guy.
Rom O MMA says, TJ, there's no way an IV is clearing like abusive levels of use of any testable substances.
Well, I'm not saying anyone's doing anything abusive, but yeah, it will. I mean, that's
Got
why
it.
that's why they did it.
Yeah.
It will definitely like clear it out of your body. I mean, that's why like all these Tour de France guys, like they'll travel around with doctors and they got IVs, they're blood doping. Like USADA is very good at what they do. And they show up at your house at 6 a.m. They drug test you. It's like they know, like that's why they don't want you taking IVs. So
Got it.
That is true.
TJ, there's one more question before we move on to the next fight.
Yeah.
This is coming from Gecko Kid Marco. This is for Frank and for TJ. Frank, I'll start with you. He says, should a manager or does a manager or coach tell you what division to fight at, or does the fighter decide?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, I always made my decisions. Like for me, I was like, listen, this is where I feel comfortable. This is what I weigh. This is what I feel. And this is what I'm going to do. And so I relayed that to my coaches. They had opinions, but
Who
that
were
was
the
my-
coaches at the time you would relay that to?
Javier Mendez, Tony, my general coaches. But, like this is what I say to all fighters. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't work for your body, it's not for you. Do
Yeah.
something else. Like find your thing and then convince your coaches that's your thing.
Yeah.
And I came from a time when we didn't have the knowledge. So half of my job was convincing coaches, hey guys, this is my thing. This is what I feel good at. And then it would both release them and then release me to sort of pursue that. But when it was something I didn't like, I'd be like, coaches, I don't like this.
But the reason why you
makes me
knew
feel
where
weird.
you wanted to compete is because you competed your whole life.
Indeed, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wrestled my whole life. And so and throughout my wrestling career, I had coaches kind of guide me in the right direction. And then you're like, oh, that does feel better.
Yeah, but you know your size.
Yeah.
You know you.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, like to your question,
Yeah.
like if coach comes to me and says, I want you to fight this weight or this way, I'm going to say, hey, this is my weight. This is where I'm most comfortable. This
Yeah.
is where I think I'll excel. And then,
But I say that because I'm working with a high school Del Oro right now, and they have kids that want to cut a little bit too much weight than they need to. Because
Sorry, real quick. You're coaching high school wrestlers right now?
yeah, I'm helping out at Del Oro High School.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Continue.
yeah. So there's these kids that always want to cut a little bit more weight because they think it's going to be a little more successful. The weight's going to be. They want to be that weight bully that you're talking about, right? But in turn, it's actually going to hinder their performances. And sometimes they do need a coach that's been around, that has seen it, or maybe a professional athlete like myself to say like, hey, you'd actually be better if you went up a weight class, right?
Yeah.
So when you're inexperienced, you do need to lean on those coaches that have been around. But when you become experienced, like we have been throughout our life, then yeah, we'll decide what weight we want to go. But when you put the faith in the right coaches and the right people guiding your career, hopefully they can see from the outside in, like, hey, that weight cut's not going to be good for you.
yeah,
You know?
I agree with that. I mean, coaching is everything. And then, to your point, brother, if you're an athlete, the first thing you should do is know your body.
Yeah.
And then as you know your body, you go, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. So then when a coach comes and says, hey, I like this, you already have an opinion.
Yeah.
Because you know your body. If you don't know your body, you're going to do whatever anyone tells you, and you're not going to, be in control of that.
Yeah.
If you look at the middleweight division right now, Frank, and even back then when you were fighting, did you ever feel like going in the fight like, man, I am severely undersized? Like we saw
Every time.
Every time. So you knew. Like I
Every
can't imagine
time, yeah.
you standing near Hamzat or DDP.
No, every
Like
time,
these are
yeah.
huge dudes.
Yeah, everybody was huge. Yeah.
And you didn't care.
Well, I didn't care, but I also had the advantage of sort of pre-knowledge. Like I knew what no one else knew because I was like a nerd and I was really studying. Okay. So before the athlete developed, I was able to take advantage of the lack of technical knowledge. And now that the athlete is developed, like TJ would beat the fuck out of me because he's a super athlete with the knowledge that I figured out. Before that, they just didn't have the knowledge. Tough guys, strong guys, but they literally didn't have the knowledge. So I could manipulate that situation. I can't anymore because I gave everybody the knowledge. So
he still is. And
yeah, the day's done.
And not only the technique, but you realize how much faster he was than a lot of guys he was fighting too. If you watched a lot of his fights, like his speed was out of this world when it came to the fighting.
And that's another great point, TJ. A lot of people talk about, and you just brought it up, speed over size and how the size and the speed can sometimes be outweighed. Like we see in boxing, for example, Mike Tyson was so fast, but he's so undersized, but he could get in on people a lot quicker. He could use his speed to his advantage. When does speed no longer become a viable offense? Like when is too big, too big?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I think speed is power if you used it the right way. And you see Frankie Edgar did it for a long time. He fought 155s. Yep. It was a champion. And really, he's kind of a small 45er, like he can make 35s.
Worked around everybody.
Yeah, he worked around everyone. His cardio was better because he wasn't cutting weight. But, those punches pay dividends when they're a bigger guy against you. There's a bigger frame, like bigger wrists, bigger bone density. So, I mean, I guess when too big is too big when you start losing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it's when the mechanics of the game work against you. So I'm good with a guy my size, but if he gains 100 pounds and pushes me in the cage, it's immediately a problem. Because now I got to dig out of the cage with an extra 100 pounds on me. And the effort of that is like tremendous. Yeah. But if you were my size, it wouldn't be the same effort. So for me, that bully weight comes with the application of a cage. No cage, I could run forever. I could fight forever. I could keep making angles. It wouldn't be a problem. But the minute that weight comes on me, I got a serious problem.
And are you speaking specifically when you were fighting in a boxing ring system versus a cage system?
Any cage, any barrier. If there were no barrier, if we were fighting on the street and TJ was coming at me and I didn't like it, I would run. I would get away. I would create the distance.
You're talking about street fights too.
It doesn't. Well,
this guy's a different animal.
We're fighting.
He's talking about just fighting. That's how you know the generational difference. He don't even care. He ain't even talking about in the cage or for a purse. He's talking about street fighting.
But when you're fighting, weight, leverage, and position matter. Like it's everything. Yeah. And so if you can get that in any situation, it becomes a huge advantage.
Danny Wasabi says lighter is better than heavier. And then a lot of people are saying speed is better than power. Like I see that a lot, but also too, I mean, skill is such a big thing, So TJ, let's go into this fight right here, the light heavyweight bout. We got Volkan, who was sitting at number 9. Alonzo was sitting at 14. We were texting during this fight. Volkan's from Switzerland, US, Alonzo. What did you see? What did you like? Both age 38, 36, both about the same height, 6'2", 6 feet.
I mean, Volkan came out on a mission looking for a knockout. He came straight forward, throwing punches, throwing big knees, looking for the finish. And remember the other guy's name, Menifield, was just on the defense the whole time, right? And
Alonzo.
Alonzo, his back was against the cage, So if you got someone coming forward like this, you got to get him something to think about. You can't just cover, block, and roll, especially with 4-ounce gloves, right? Like that catching counter is not going to work, especially because he wasn't even countering. He's just covering up. He's getting against the cage and he's rolling his head. What I would have liked to see him do, you got to clinch him. You got to shoot a shot on him. You got to slow his punches down because he's going to come at you with a fury of punches, and he's got serious power too. You'll see in here he gets hit. He'll get hit with a knee and a bunch of punches, and he's just like got his hands up and he's moving his head, and it just doesn't work, right? Like you got to get your back off the cage and you got to do some wrestling. You got to clinch him. You got to slow him down because he's looking to knock you out. And eventually that's what happens. Watch. He got hit with there. He's just going to cover. He's going to roll. He's going to move his head, which is great defense, but that's only going to work for so long, right? Like grab a hold of him. Shoot a shot, get him to think about wrestling so he can't throw his punches.
Yeah, or change levels. Yeah. Or give a different visual than I'm going to stand there and throw slow punches.
Exactly.
And Frank, you did a phenomenal podcast where you talked about coaching and coaching guys like at Lions Den and your own team. And then, Luke Rockhold gives you a lot of credit with building AKA and the system over there with Javier Mendez. When you're coaching a fighter, and TJ, you're so critical, you're so and I don't want to glaze you, but you're so excellent at understanding a fighter's IQ and then trying to play into that and make the fighter the best they can. Frank, how would you look at a fighter and then say, okay, you lost this fight, this is what you did wrong, and this is what we have to do better? Or are you looking at it like, is it a size thing? It is a fight thing? How do you dissect a fighter after a loss to then get them to come back and win?
I mean, that was totally a technical and psychological thing. He was staying in the back. He was waiting for the punch. And the problem is when you wait for the punch, then you have to deal with the punches that come behind it. And he's got the talent and the skill to be punching first, second, or in between. And instead, he was just waiting. And the problem is you're then 2 punches behind. And so eventually you're going to get caught with a punch. And that's a psychological thing. If you're not producing, if you're not attacking, if you're not pointing that stick forward and forcing your opponent to do something, then there's no fear from your opponent. And that's what you saw. You saw a psychological advantage, and then you saw him apply the techniques, and then you saw the guy go, well, I wasn't in position, I wasn't ready.
So, I mean,
I love the psychological factor.
That's what I was going to come to, right? Like, so you asked the question, like, how do you go to a fighter and you help him after a loss, right? It is more psychological than it even is anything, right? The power of your mind is insane, especially coming off a loss, especially like these champions or someone that's undefeated that finally loses for the first time. When you start to lose confidence, you lose fights. If you are not confident in what you're doing, if you're not believing in yourself, then you are not going to win. So the first thing to do when you got a fighter that loses is like pick up his confidence in whatever way. If that's, working out, talking
Feed him
him up.
easy sparring partners.
No, not so much.
Whatever it is. Like, like everyone's different.
Yeah, exactly. You can't coach everyone the same, right? There's some guys that got to be told, hey, you suck at this, you suck at that. Other guys, you got to be lift them up. You got to know them personality. Like, what's their love language? You know what I mean? Like, how do they respond to criticism? How are they to pump up? You got to learn everyone's like,
and everyone's different.
It's
really trippy. Yeah. Mine was, if you told me I couldn't do it, then I would do it.
Yeah.
All my coach had to do was go, I'm sorry, son. Apparently you can't do this.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, and I would go do it. So everybody's psychology is different.
Yeah. So first off, you pick up their psychology, get them to believe in themselves and know that like, hey, this was a fluke. Or, if it's one of those guys that needs to be told he can't do something, like, hey, you did this like a fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's to make this better. So know your fighter, and then yes, get to the technique, but most importantly, the psychology of like who you are, and make sure your ego is still there. Like, you need an ego. You just got to
need an ego in fighting?
Have to have it.
You have to.
You're fighting in a cage.
Is there a separation between ego and confidence?
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
What's the difference?
100%.
Well,
One
you don't
is
want
fake.
like I don't
One
want you
is
just
real.
Yeah, I just don't want you just to be like so confident. I don't want you to be so confident that you're not going to be putting in the work needed to get better. But you need an ego. You just need to be able to control your ego, right? And I think that's with anything, not just fighting. I think that's in most sports. I think it's being an entrepreneur, whatever it may be. To be successful, you got to have a little bit of ego, right? Like I know you got one, right? But you surround people around you that help you put it in check too.
Yeah, like when training, for example, specifically MMA, I know I suck at most things. So TJ will always bring in guys, and obviously I'm going to get beat up, but I try to learn. I'm doing it more for cardio and for a workout. But I definitely love the fact when TJ knows what the guy's going to do to me and he still tells the guy to do it and there's nothing I could do, that deflates the ego immediately. Then you realize you're nothing in there. I think a lot of people don't realize the minute you go into a cage and then that cage closes, like it's a very unique feeling. I've never done it on a live stage. I've only done it with Coach Bernardo during our sparring practices, but you really feel helpless if you don't know what you could do. You're in a cage and there's nothing you can really do to get you out of there. You're tired, you're winded, you're getting hit, you can't really cover up, and you're just like, all right, how much time's left? I mean, it's a unique feeling. I don't think people that don't train MMA can really understand. Like, I mean, you fought against guys twice your size, but you were in there and your cardio level never seemed to deflate. Did that always help your confidence knowing that you could outlast everybody as well?
Yeah, 100%. The cardio was a tool, but the confidence and the mindset was the key. And so now I represent actors and broadcasters. They undergo the same stress as we undergo, only it's live television. It can't stop. Everything is on the line and they have to perform. And so it's the exact same preparation, like sort of situation, only they're not getting beat up. But they're literally going through the same stressors. They're going through the same situation. They're like, oh, and now we're live. So the preparation, the mindset, the discipline in martial arts is the key, man. I mean, whether you're getting beat up or trying to deliver a line, honestly, that's what gets you the confidence and the ability to deliver.
Okay, so this is a big fight coming up. This is Belal Muhammad, which was one of the most dominant champions, and a lot of people criticize his fighting style. I think he was an amazing fighter. He still is an amazing fighter.
Yeah.
And Ian Machado Garry, who's just been on a tear. He only has that one loss. And, you know, he came out swinging with this press conference after the fight. But first, we'll start with the fight. I want to start off the break. You know, the way he shut down Belal Muhammad's wrestling completely. You know, he stuffed a lot of these takedowns, TJ. You're such a wizard at wrestling. Was this the most impressive, like, tactical performance of his career? Do you feel like the perception as a fighter, a lot of people look at him now and go, okay, you're a lot more complete than what I thought?
I've always known he was complete. Like, he's a very hard guy to deal with. He's got good range. He's got good kickboxing. And yes, this is his best technical performance in a fight, especially because he did it against Belal, right? But I will say that Belal's shots did not look great. He was not setting them up. He was either wrestling, shooting shots, or he was striking. He wasn't doing them together, right? To where if Islam Makhachev grabs the legs that he was grabbing on Machado or gets his back like he did in the round and on his feet, like Islam's getting that takedown and he's going to be on top and it's going to be a great night for Islam if they fight. Like it's a different animal, right? So Belal is great. He was a champion, so it's awesome for Ian to get out there and get that win. His jab looked good. He had a good wide stance, which lowered his level, which also made it so he was able to pull out a distance, and he's the longer fighter, and return with his combos. And because he was doing that, Belal needed to put his punches in before his shots, right? Get Ian to pull my jab or pull my 1-2, and when he comes back to land his check hook or land his own jab, that's when I shoot my shot, right? So
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Tactically speaking, though, this, you know, fight being mostly played out on the feet, showing though
there was all on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, showing that. Is it what I'm trying to point out? Is it maybe Belal was having an off night, or do you think that Machado is that good now?
Machado's good, and I think Belal maybe had a little bit of an off night, but I think we're just realizing that maybe Belal's not as dominant, as good as everyone maybe thought he was, right? I think there's still levels to this, and Ian's showing that this style of fighting is in the range that he has is too good for Belal, and maybe Belal has lost some confidence now too, right? He's coming off a loss. Wow. And that's we just got done talking about this. So he was a champion, lost his belt to JDM, and you know, so I think it's a combo. I think Ian's great, but he's not on the level as Islam.
And, you know, Frank, technically speaking, from the stances, the level changing, the hands, the way kind of Ian Machado Garry is able to sit there. He trained a lot with Damian Maia going into this fight for his ground game, but he didn't really have to use much of it. Do you see some significant improvement in the way Ian Machado Garry's striking and the way he throws his punches compared to before, especially against a competitor like Belal Muhammad?
Yep, never seen him fight, but he's well over his front knee.
Yep.
And he's got a longer stick, and he's fucking this dude up with his sticks.
Exactly.
So regardless, this is basic boxing combined with presence, and he's beating the shit out of this guy.
Well, see how so exactly what he's saying. He's leaning over his front foot.
Yeah,
he's literally he's in lean, and the other guy's back.
So again,
he's
like
in front.
We were talking about Morales keeping his hips back.
Yeah.
So my stance is a little bit wider, and I'm leaning over my front foot because I have a longer reach, right? And I'm going to hit you with it. Now you're going to want to come back. Look, I can lean back really well now because my stance is wide, and you think I'm here, right? But this is the other thing how close I am to you. But really, I can be here, and I'm still in an athletic stance because my stance is wide, and you thought I was this close. I do it all the time. Like I'd be like playing with guys up and leaning in like this, so I can lean back and come back with my own
He's stealing
shot.
the space
Yeah,
between you, and you don't know it, and then he hits you, and that's what he's doing because he's in front. Leaned over his foot in the first range.
So this space, this negative space is what you believe you're in striking distance.
Yeah.
The minute I do this, you think I'm here, but now I can come back and I'm out of distance.
Yeah.
So this is more of a trick.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
It's an illusion. Like I'm this close.
Even though they say not to do that. Even though in most boxing they tell you not to lean over like that.
No, they do it.
Yeah.
You're setting up a trap.
Got it.
I'm setting up. I got to know.
You're using it for the right thing.
I got to know why I'm doing it. I can't just always fight like this.
Got it.
Right? Because I'm gonna get stuck. I can't be in a wrestling stance. But if I'm using it as a trap, I'm like, come on, go ahead, boom, with my own two, right? So if you were, now look, check this out. What I think Belal should have done, he should have recognized this. So you're now Belal. Okay. You're gonna throw something at me. I lean back and I come back with my two. You're gonna shoot, right?
Yeah.
boom.
Work
Now
on
I'm
the
getting
leg,
caught
yep.
coming in.
Yeah.
To where
on the
outside
leg.
single leg.
Yeah.
Play my name.
Yeah.
Frank. Outside single
All
leg.
day.
To
All day.
where he was like only shooting without setting it up. He wasn't throwing his punches first. Now
No
I'm shooting
cover.
from this far away, and I can see it, and I can move my feet, and like.
So the reactive, okay, cool. This is a cool topic. So the reactiveness to shooting in, the reactiveness to defending good wrestling is all based off that kind of counter or that reaction to a move. So that way you don't see it coming.
I mean, not all of it, but yes, it helps.
And you're saying what we didn't see from Belal Muhammad in this fight was a lot of the setup.
Yeah, he didn't
No
put his
covers.
He didn't put his punches
Wow.
behind his shot. He was just shooting. It's very easy to, especially in MMA, it's very easy to defend a shot if you don't set it up.
So what you saw here, and with all the work Ian Machado, Gary's been doing with a legend like Damian Maia down in Brazil, I think he's still training with the shootbox team.
Nice.
Do you believe that he has better striking and grappling than Islam if he does get the title fight?
I say his range is more effective. His kicks are better, but he can't put everything together as well as Islam, right? Like Ian's going to be deathly afraid of a takedown. He has to be because it's way harder than Belal, and it's going to slow down his striking. So with that said, I still think Islam makes light work of the fight. And I say that with all due respect. Like Ian's great, but Islam is just got the skills that he does not have. And you're not going to go and learn that from Damian Maia in a couple years that someone's been doing it his whole life. So.
Frank, when you watch a fighter, and like you just said, I never watch him fight, but you could easily break down what he was doing. What is it that you're looking at? The footwork, the defense, his eye movement? A lot of fighters and a lot of trainers have different ways of breaking down fighters. What is it that you look for first?
Well, the guy in the purple, what's his name again?
Belal Muhammad? Or
Belal
Ian Machado?
Muhammad.
Ian Machado.
Ian. All I'm seeing is if each fighter had two sticks in their hands, the guy in the purple's got a longer stick.
Yeah.
And he's landing that stick more, which is enabling him to add more sticks and power shots and kicks and different things. And he's doing that because his position is superior. He's leaned over the foot. He could poke first with his stick. And the other guy isn't ready for it. So every time the other guy gets set and tries to get ready, he gets poked with a stick and he loses his base. And so that's the basis of this fight.
Yep,
And
100%.
so if they figured out whose sticks were superior, it's basic boxing combined with grappling and wrestling. And the reason I retired is I knew guys like TJ would learn how to box, and then I'd have no chance because I can't take him down.
But Luke Rockhold's credited you with building an amazing program at AK when it comes to kicks, when it comes to putting together the kicks. The front kicks and the body and the leg kicks that Ian Machado Garry is doing against a former champion like Belal Muhammad seem very, very executed, very properly. And it seems like they were very effective compared to most times when we don't see him being able to do that. We obviously saw him hurt Shavkat's knees. But do you feel like that was a big adjustment for him to winning this fight? Is the way he was able to set up his kicks then as well?
Sorry, I wasn't listening to you. I was reading comments.
Yeah. For Ian Machado Garry, do you feel like the way he was able to set up his kicks compared to his previous fights? We saw him do it against Shavkat. He hurt those knees, but he was able to use that as a way to keep space. He was able to use that as a way to kind of knock Belal down. We saw in the first round. Do you feel like that was a big adjustment for him?
Yeah, he did great with his kicks. He changed up. I mean, he didn't do outside leg kicks because it's easier to catch and get a takedown. He would do more of that oblique kick that would really kick his knee out from underneath him that way. And those straightforward kicks, you can't catch them. Right, the round kick to his leg you can catch. So he stuck to mainly that oblique kick, and then he had some good switch kicks to the head. But mainly it was his jab, his stick, the whole time that won him the fight, and the circling and the angles.
How important is having a good jab?
It's very important.
Is that like one of the most important tools you think?
Yeah, it's
in
the basic.
UFC?
It's the basics of striking. That's why when you get out and you learn how to strike, they teach you a jab first, right?
If
Like
you wonder why, grab two sticks and go fight a bear. Then you'll realize the power of the jab.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, like even in the chat, I see people talking about who's going to get the title shot next.
Well, someone said in here that I wanted to say,
Yeah.
Robert, I was on the same page. I actually have it in my notes. He said that he would like to see Ian fight Morales, and that's the fight I want to see. I want to see
Morales is a
I want to
monster.
see. I want to see those two fight, and the winner gets the title fight because we know Islam's going to sit on the shelf for a little bit. He's not going to get out there and fight right away. Let's get Ian and Morales to fight to see, and that's like a guarantee. Next winner gets the title shot.
Morales is undefeated.
Yeah.
Ian Machado Garry only has
One
one
fight,
loss.
one loss, yeah.
I mean, they're both insane
gonna
fighters right
strike.
now. They're going to strike and just bang. Out of those two fighters, though, like, do you feel, because we saw Islam Makhachev talk about, he wanted to defend against Kamaru Usman. He's already talked about that. But that was before this performance. Do you think that at this performance, at this level, he deserves the fight next, though? Ian Machado?
Yeah, I mean, he beat number 2. The guy used to be a champion, but also Morales just knocked out Brady, right? And knocked him out was that the first round? You know, so he's got also the stake to claim too, because Brady was the number 1 contender. It's tough, man. I mean, that's why I'd like to see them fight. I think there's a lot of horses coming to fight Islam, and I think Islam right now beats them all.
Flying Brick 121 says, TJ, I say we feed Morales to Makhachev straight up.
To Makhachev?
Yeah, Islam.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you continue to build Morales' star power, and I think Ian's got a great chance in that fight as well too. I think it's a great fight to make.
The Real Deal 89 says Frank looks like he still knows how to party.
All day, baby.
Hell yeah.
Man.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so this division right here, we pull up the welterweight division. I mean, it is stacked. I'm going to run through this real quick for you guys. Joaquin Buckley, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, Sean Brady, Ian Machado Garry, Carlos Prates, Shavkat, Michael Morales, Belal, JDM, and Islam. That is one of the most, if not the most stacked divisions in the UFC right now. That is unreal.
55 is a stack too, but yeah.
That is unreal.
Yeah.
Those are all killers. Each one of those guys could be a world champion, and half of them were already champions.
God, but when I go through the list, dude, I just don't see who's beating Islam.
Still.
I don't. Not after his last performance, but we'll see, man. I mean, obviously, I just don't. I mean, I just think he's too strong with what he does well.
Frank, how did you pick guys in back in the day when you were fighting Pride and you were the original UFC middleweight champion for UFC and WEC and Strikeforce? How did you pick up your fights? Did you pick the guys out, or they fed you?
In the first phase, I fought whoever they plopped up to me, and the second phase, it was sort of a collaborative deal. I'd be like, yeah, that's great, let's do this. In the third phase, I fought only who I wanted to, who had a great story, who I thought would sell pay-per-views or do whatever.
It was all about selling the fight.
Yeah.
TJ, was that the same for you?
I got a question for you before I answer
Go ahead.
Didn't Ian beat Carlos Prates?
Yeah.
And so they got Carlos Prates ranked above him?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But this, I don't know if this has been updated since yesterday.
Oh.
Well, it says that Ian Machado went up one.
Where do you see that?
The green arrow next.
No, there's no green arrow next to his name.
That's Dan.
That's
Dan Hooker.
Yeah, that's next door.
Gotcha. Okay.
Next door division.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I think this has to be updated because Sean Brady dropped 5 spots, Usman dropped 3, Leon Edwards dropped 5, Joaquin Buckley dropped 3. This hasn't been updated since Ian Machado Garry won.
Okay.
Because Belal. Oh wait, no, Belal's still number 2. Yeah, so this hasn't been moved.
To answer your question, I took whoever they offered me. I didn't ever pick a fight.
The rankings come out on Tuesday. We just got the inside from Billy Loco.
Yeah.
He's our no face, no case cameraman.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool.
But yeah, I just took whatever fight they gave me. I never pushed back. I never got to select who I was going to fight. I didn't have enough power to do that, I don't think.
There's a question right here. They said, should they do Prates versus Morales first? I don't know about that one because I think Ian Machado Garry beat him, so I don't know if that counts.
No.
But that is
I want Morales versus Ian.
Yeah, I think everybody does. Hey, chat, let us know who you think should have the fight. We're going to move into the next card. We appreciate the chat going crazy. We're also pulling a lot of the questions from the Jaxxon Podcast Discord. Hey, moderators, could we put the Jaxxon Podcast Discord in the comments right now so people can join it? We're also going to be doing some crazy giveaways. It's our Black Friday sale, so it's up to 55% off site-wide right now, all of our best-selling chains, and our brand new watch, which is our brand new Japanese movement, and it has our brand new class. So we appreciate all the support and love for that, guys. Now we're going to jump into the next fight. Oh, yeah, Morales and Shavkat are both undefeated. Feed them to each other. They do. The chat's going crazy right now. We all know Usman's the only challenger to Islam, possibly Morales. That came from Ramo MMA. Yo, guys, crazy chat engagement right now. We appreciate you guys. So this is a big one. This is a big one. This is the one everybody's been waiting for. This is our guy. He did his camp here. He trained here. He was here for 8 months. He also helped me bring in Khamzat Chimaev. He's a great person, great friend. I got to glaze him as much as I can because the guy went above and beyond for us. And while he was here, he was training with Coach Bernardo every day at the Santo Performance Studio where we have our jiu-jitsu school. He brought in a ton of fighters like Nursulon and Little Fury. Arman Tsarukyan, probably one of the most understood fighters in the UFC, right? We all get it. His dad's a billionaire and they have yachts and cars and islands, but the guy worked harder than anybody I know. 3 times a day he was here. He never missed a day. Coach, this guy ever missed a day? Coach Bernardo? Never missed a day. And when he would come, he would grind. He never complained, shower, go home, nap, and then come right back. And he was doing 2-3 days for 6 months while he waited on the sidelines. And TJ Dillashaw was very I would say it was very nice of you. It was very respectful of you to treat another fighter this way. He flew in on his own, spent the day training with Arman, and he kind of talked to me. He said, listen, Arman, I've been through this. I'm world champion. You know my story. They were all very excited to meet and hang out with each other. The response I got from Khamzat Chimaev when he first saw TJ was the same. They all have love and mutual respect. And he said, you do not want to sit on the sidelines this long. You got to get active. You got to let the audience know what you have. You were very like, it was almost like a dad talking to a son, but not in that way. It was just the admiration you had for him because of the experiences you went through, TJ, I thought was one of the best things I've seen all year here at the Jaxxon Media House, as well as the coaching. I mean, this guy was in grappling classes with Coach Bernardo, Khalil Roundtree, Marcus Buchecha, Nick Maximov. You know, he trained with our Coach Yogi and Coach Perillo on the pads. This guy literally just trained 3 times a day for 8 months. So to see him finally go out there and fight was like a stress relief as well, because we also sponsored him for a year. We didn't get to see him fight.
Yeah.
But he fought one of the toughest dudes. I mean, everybody saw the Jalen Turner-Dan Hooker fight was one of the craziest fights I've seen. They broke each other's faces and hands. I mean, Dan Hooker is as tough as nails. So that was a crazy fight for him to finally say yes to. So we're going to jump right into this. Arman Tsarukyan dominated with the arm triangle choke. He called out Ilia Topuria, for January. He is the clear number 1 contender.
Yeah.
Does the UFC have to make this happen, or do you think they still feed Ilia, Gaethje, or Paddy Pimblett?
No, there's no way. The only fight for Topuria has got to be Arman. People forgot how good Arman was, right? Because he couldn't make weight. He hurt his back, didn't get to fight Islam like he was hoping to do. And people were giving him shit for it, that he was like pulling out of a fight. And that's why I was telling him, like, look, you got to fight and remind everyone how good you are. Because if you go that long without fighting, they forget. It's easy. Like, there's fights every week and they're going to forget about you. You're not in the tabloids. You can only talk so much shit. You got to get out there and prove it. Right. And so I'm so glad he went out there and fought someone tough like Hooker as well too. I mean, I trained a lot with Hooker. I'm a fan of Hooker. He's a great fighter, but Arman just made it look easy, man. He's too strong for him, very well rounded, stayed out of danger on his feet. Something that people don't give Arman enough credit for is how smart he is, the way he fights. He never puts himself in that much danger, right? When he's on his feet, he's got good distance control. His boxing, his power is great. He mixes things up. He sets his shots up, great finishes. Then his top control was amazing,
How significant was the level of control you think Tsarukyan showed against Hooker? Like over 6 minutes of control, in the 9 minutes of the fight. And what does that say about this matchup against maybe, Topuria?
Yeah, Hooker didn't show one chance of getting a submission. There's once Arman had control of him, that was it, right? A little bit of a mistake on Hooker's part to not create scrambles and get in your guard. Like, you cannot do jiu-jitsu for MMA. Yes, you can catch someone in a scramble. You can especially in today's age, everyone's too good at it, right? So catch an armbar or a triangle throughout a scramble or catch someone's back, that's different. But sitting in your guard and trying to go for something is just, you can't do it. You got to create a scramble. You got to get someone to try to take your back. You scramble out of it. And that was a bad decision by Hooker, but it was also the combination of how great Arman was on top. And Arman's not going to lay and pray. You can see this in this fight. Yeah, Arman's looking to take your head off. He's throwing elbows on top. He's sitting in mount. He's punching you. He's very aggressive. He's looking to put you out when he's on top. And fans got to love that, right? Especially at today's age and some of the fights we're seeing and the grappling and how boring it gets. Arman's not playing that game. He's looking to put his elbow through your face.
We saw a lot of the videos going viral on the internet of Arman and his training partner, Nina Drama, here at the Jaxxon Media House when he was doing the head and neck circles. And we saw finally that pay off because multiple times he was almost caught in a guillotine and he was able to pull off the head and neck circle. What do you think about that, TJ?
It's a great technique to get out of a guillotine. I got pretty good at that because I trained.
What's the definition of that? What is that called?
I don't know. It's just like a roll. The first time he did it,
roll.
Yeah, the first time, it's like a gator roll, but the first time he did it perfect. He rolled towards the hands. The second one kind of scared me because he rolled his chin towards the elbow to where if Hooker could have kept onto that, it could have been a pretty nasty neck crank. But he twisted hard enough to get out of it.
We did a podcast last week with Alonzo, and Alonzo was telling me that one of the craziest guys he ever went against, and Alonzo's jiu-jitsu is high level as it comes, was Frank Shamrock. And he said that, he was so worried about his ankles, and every time he went to snap his ankles, he just kept telling you, go ahead. I'm not going to tap for you to break my ankles. And it kind of reminds me of this.
He's
like,
so gangster, bro.
he didn't care, huh?
He didn't care.
Yeah, and it reminds me like Arman just like literally did not care to be put in a vulnerable situation. He had that much confidence in his wrestling.
Oh, he scrambled out. It's because of the way he did the takedown in, like, Hooker's making the mistake of going for a guillotine. Like, you better be really fucking good at a guillotine if you're going to be going for it, because you're giving up a takedown, especially when you just got held down the entire first round and then you go for it again in the second round. Like, that's a mistake. Like, defend the takedown, push his head down, get your legs out, keep the fight on your feet. Don't go for a guillotine. You know, like, it's very hard to finish unless you're really good at it. I mean, you've seen Charles Oliveira grab that guillotine on Arman that was tight and couldn't finish it. Like, I don't know. I think that's a mistake that a lot of fighters make. They go for that guillotine because it takes a little bit less effort and hopefully they get it. I mean, we saw Mackenzie Dern go for it a bunch too and get taken down. It doesn't work, man. And unless you proved it in the room a bunch of times that your percentage is very high, I recommend not going for it. I recommend defending the shot first.
Ilya has expressed interest about moving up and maybe trying to face Makhachev. How realistic is this scenario? Do you think, does it leave Tsarukyan in limbo at lightweight?
Stupid. He's not moving up. Like, come on. There's too many horses in the stable at 170.
I'm moving up.
Yeah.
Is he trying to run from Arman? Is
do.
Ilya running from Arman?
I do think so.
Oh,
okay. That's
I do think so.
legit.
Hello.
But with that said, I think that Ilya Topuria
Who wouldn't want to run from Arman? Have you seen him perform?
I'm running from him currently. I don't even know the guy I'm running from.
I do think Ilya Topuria is the highest skilled fighter in the UFC right now, but I do think he is threatened by Arman. Arman's big, he's strong, he's great at the weight class, his boxing is clean, great grappling. It's a tough fight for him to where he can go to 70s. Maybe he doesn't get the win. It doesn't make sense to me. The only fight for Ilya Topuria right now is Arman.
Dart player TX says that's not a gator roll, that is a death roll.
A death roll. Cool.
That's legit.
Awesome.
Hey, Coach
Bernardo,
Bernardo
what do you
Sensei.
call it?
That's legit.
Gator roll.
Gator roll.
Let's go, Gator roll, motherfucker.
Hater roll.
Black belt jiu-jitsu, our head coach for grappling here at Santo Studio
He
and
knows.
Jackson Media House. It's called a gator roll. But one thing I want to point out, TJ, was Arman's ability to come in with all the confidence, even though he had all the pressure on him, sitting on the sidelines, knowing how big of a fight this was, knowing that this guy is obviously has the height advantage, the reach advantage. You could see the skill, the way he was even throwing elbows on the floor. He was there to destroy this guy and make it work. Like, it was the artist and the artist's work. Yeah. And you could see that. And like, one thing that I think is so different than most fighters was just not the gap in skill, but the gap in dominance. Like, it was such a dominant performance. We don't see that a lot, especially with all this lay and pray that everybody talks about.
Yep. That's why I wanted him to fight. I wanted him to remind the world of how good he was. Like, people forget. And you got to get out there and you got to remind them. And this is the best way to do it. And like you said, he wasn't laying and praying. He was looking for the finish the entire time.
I like how he's
great fight.
always doing damage from every position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fighting. Yeah.
Do you look at that, Frank, like when someone's in a clinch or a half guard, like how much damage they're still doing in any position they kind of put themselves in?
Yeah, because at the end, it's an attrition-based sport. It's whoever gets too tired, too broken up, too banged up to continue. So, the more damage you can do with the least amount of damage to yourself, that's the game. So, yeah, I love all these, elbows, the short fighting, the infighting. Where
You're a big clinch guy,
most
too.
people forget about it, and they don't do damage in those situations where you could do a ton of damage, and move your piece forward.
On one of the Jaxxon Behind the Brand episodes, you did a really cool inside kind of technique where you talk about the clinch. Maybe you could show the audience real quick. I thought it was very impressive.
Yeah. Well, I didn't wrestle, so this was half wrestling, half fighting. But for me, I never go past this point. So my elbow is always centered, it's always blocked, and I'm always trying to hold this fighting stance, even if I'm on the inside. And so that way, all the strikes, all the mechanics happen the same, and I still have top control, and I can move that point if need be. But I'm not stuck, I'm not trapped, I'm not grappling.
Was this big, especially for the height advantage and the weight advantage?
Yeah. It made all the difference when you get with tall guys or long guys, because you can pull them into your game. If they don't want to wrestle you, if they're a striker, you can lower them. You can kind of pull them into a grappling / striking game and work inside of that game. And like we talked about last time, most people don't study the inside game. So they do one game or the other.
That close quarter combat game is so crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, unless you do it and you're comfortable and it flows, you just don't, it doesn't flow. So unless you practice and you get that kind of interaction with another body, you don't really know what really happens. But yeah, maximize. It's very damaging.
TJ, what do you think was more impressive? Arman's complete dominance of such a tough fighter like Dan Hooker, or Ian Machado, Garry able to kind of shut out an elite wrestler like Belal Muhammad for 3 straight rounds?
I think Arman's performance was more dominant, obviously, and more impressive to me. Ian looked great. I also think it was an off night for Belal. So
we saw both fighters kind of call out champions. You saw Ian Machado, Garry call out Makhachev. You saw Arman call out Ilya. We all want to see Arman and Ilya. That's the only fight to make, just like you said. Yeah. What do you think ends up happening?
I think he fights Topuria. I think this fight, gives him the fight. I do think that Ian's got a pretty good chance of getting the title fight as well too. But that one's a little bit tougher. It's a little more competitive at 170 compared to 155. Like, it makes no sense to me to have Gaethje or Patty fight Topuria when you got Arman up here, taking out Hooker in the second round so dominant. And he already was the number 1 contender, right? So he should have already fought for the title, but now it's his time.
Do you think because of all the stress and pressure Arman had going into this fight, everybody knowing he was on the sidelines, him knowing that he had to put on a performance of his life, now going into the Ilya fight, there's almost zero pressure on him. Now all the pressure switches back to Ilya because now he fought. He knows he's dominant. He's quicker in the cage. He just got out of the cage a lot, sooner compared to Ilya sitting on the sidelines. Do you think now this switches the pressure? It applies more pressure to Ilya?
Not necessarily. I think there's always pressure on you no matter what, right? You're getting out there, you're competing in front of millions of people. There's always going to be pressure. It just shows how well Arman deals with it, right? It's about how well you deal with the pressure. I preferred to have pressure on me. It always made me perform a little bit better. Kept me on my toes, kept me nervous, kept me scared. It was about how I dealt with being scared. It made me great.
And we saw a little scruffle between Khamzat Chimaev and Ian Machado Garry as they were going to the back. It seems like Ian Machado Garry tried to apply a little pressure to Khamzat, do a little peacocking. What do you call that? What was he doing?
Yeah, he's peacocking. He's running his mouth. I mean, Ian likes to run his mouth, right? Like, he knows what he's doing. He's clickbait. He knows what. And Chimaev doesn't give a fuck. Like, he's not that kind of guy. He's just not going to let you do it to him. He's going to fight you right then and there.
I think if people watch the clip, I think Khamzat Chimaev was very polite and respectful to Ian Machado Garry, gave him his...
and Ian just kept running his mouth, looking at the camera like, oh yeah, check this out. Like,
I did see him look back, and then he tightens his bottle and he's like, you got this? Yeah. And then he turns around and then you see a little bit of this banter. Yeah. Now, I'm all for selling fights, but if there's a guy you don't want to try to sell a fight for, it's Khamzat Chimaev. That guy will fight you on site.
He will, but nothing's going to happen. All security's there.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time for Ian to do that because now we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, he just had a good win, but now it's like an added thing of why we're talking about Ian. So
what happens if they fight?
Chimaev would destroy him.
It's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, Islam destroys him.
I feel like the situation right now with Khamzat Chimaev is he's probably the most dangerous and most scariest fighter, most toughest fighter in the UFC besides Alex Pereira.
I wouldn't say dangerous. I'd say he's not going to lose. He's the best. He's dominant. I don't see him losing right now. When I go down that list you have up here on the board, I don't see him losing to any of those guys. But it's not like he's crazy dangerous. But he's gonna make you look like a fool. He's gonna crucify you and hold you on the ground and make you wish that you knew how to wrestle better or that you were stronger.
Do you feel like Damian Maia is training with Ian Machado Garry? If he were to fight a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, would it even matter?
No,
not a chance, right?
No. You're not gonna pick up a lifetime of skill in a few months.
I know the wrestling footage of Khamzat Chimaev and the legends he's been wrestling with and training with and the team. I mean, what an amazing moment though. Arman was in Khamzat's corner for the title fight. They were also both out here training at the Jaxxon Media House for 6 months. And then, Khamzat repays the favor and goes and sits in his corner.
Yeah, they're boys, dude.
Crazy appreciation and love for each other. I feel like that's amazing. TJ, who is the toughest fighter in the UFC right now?
You talking about the most skilled?
Yeah.
I think it's Ilya Topuria. If it's talk about skill and technique is Topuria. But when you look at a guy that's going to be dominant in the weight class for a long time, I mean, Chimaev's one of those guys. Who's going to beat him, man? His pace, now that he's got training with Sam Calavita, he knows how to do his cardio and his nonstop strength and wrestling. It's a problem.
Yeah. Right here, SV Jews says, TJ, I loved your podcast with Dominic Cruz.
Nice.
Anything we didn't get on that? Is there anything we didn't get on that podcast that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, it was a great podcast.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be like a very intelligent conversation. I didn't know what to expect going into it because, you know, me and him were like rivals, and I always talked about how I won that fight and it still pisses me off and things like that. But it was like his title of the podcast was exactly what it was: Love and War, right? Or War and Love, whatever it is. It was a very great conversation. I think his podcast is going to be very successful. He's had some guests on it, and I had a great time sitting down and talking with him and understanding his like mindset of how he went into a fight and how, because he's like the only guy that was able to get under my skin and psychologically fuck with me before the fight, because I never had to deal with that before I fought.
Really?
He's the only guy.
What did he do?
So I became champion. He was on the sidelines, and everyone I fought, like no one really talked shit yet. It wasn't like I got into these like shit talking exchanges. And then Barao was from Brazil. He didn't really speak English. And so there was never like this banter. And then Cruz was coming in. He said how nervous he was to fight me because he knew how dangerous I was, that he needed every advantage he could get. And so he would just start talking shit. And I was going through a breakup of a team. I was with Alpha Male and I was leaving Alpha Male, and he like used that against me and just like pushed my buttons, and I have this short fuse. I have like this really short fuse that you could piss me off and I like see red.
You might have went to the Frank Shamrock school. I hate to say
So
it.
he did a very good job of it. And like the first 2 rounds, like you could tell, like I fought him to knock him out, to where 3, 4, and 5, I like calmed down and was getting the better of him. And like, yeah, it worked well. And so I had to give him his props on it, but also it was nice to understand like how he did it, you know? So it was good. It was a great podcast. He said he'd be down to come on the Jaxxon podcast. We should do a breakdown.
We got to get him on one.
Yeah.
And last thing I have, do you see anybody beating Khamzat Chimaev in his next title defense?
No,
No.
I do not.
So do you think that they'll give him Imavov or Strickland, or who do you think they end up giving him?
Probably. I mean, what about that Fluffy Hernandez? He had another fight that he pulled out from though, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Fluffy Hernandez is like scrappy enough that he could like be a pretty good threat, but I don't know, man. I'd say I think Hernandez should get the fight. I'm a fan of the way he fights, and he's looking for the finish, and he's scrappy, and no matter where the fight goes, he's like, he can wrestle. He's nowhere near as good at wrestling as Chimaev, but
TJ who is Jay Real says, funny how TJ wasn't the only one leaving Alpha Male, but got all the hate for it.
It's because I left. It's because I was left when I was a champion. Right. So I was like the first one.
School politics.
Yeah. I was the first one to see the writing on the wall. Right. Like a lot of us were too good for that. We just didn't have any coaches. Right. And I needed a real coach. You know what I mean? So and when I left, it was also a ploy, I feel like, for Uriah to try to fight me and get he was jealous because I had the belt.
Here. Don't get mad. I'm just speaking facts.
That's all rumor, bro.
Yeah,
You speak of rumor, bro.
Hey, they keep saying feed Atiba to Khamzat Chimaev.
What's that?
Feed Atiba to Khamzat Chimaev.
What about it?
That's who they want to see Khamzat Chimaev face next. Atiba.
No.
Atiba.
Yeah, I don't see that. He's not even ranked yet.
He's not even ranked.
Who's Atiba? I don't even know who Atiba is.
Remember Atiba, the big guy that fought? He was training with Khalil Roundtree at Syndicate. I'll pull up a video of him. And then last thing I got before we leave, TJ, I want to go in the cage and kind of show the audience a little behind the scenes about how Arman was able to stay active in control versus some of these guys that maybe are just holding defensive positions, you know, so that the offense can't be done.
Yeah.
And then I also want to go over how to get out of that gator roll.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the audience, so if you guys are watching this, Frank, I know the way you're able to kind of hold clinch and keep people in distance, I think is amazing too, because Arman is a smaller fighter for some of these guys. So I think that would be cool to see. If Arman and Ilya end up fighting TJ, though, I want to end with this. What is the keys to success for Arman to beat a guy like Ilya?
Not to be on the inside with his boxing. Ilya's got quicker boxing, right? His boxing is very, very crisp. I think don't play that range of boxing. Keep it outside a little bit further. Use your big shots to set up the takedowns. Ilya's got great jiu-jitsu and wrestling as well too, but I think Arman's strength is going to be great for him, and I think Arman's cardio. I know Arman's cardio is the best. I train with the best strength coach in the world, and so does Arman. And my coach is telling me Arman's numbers on what his output is. He's got the best cardio in the game. So make this go to deep waters, get him to grapple, make him tired, and put him out that way. You know, don't avoid the boxing range a little bit longer. Stay in that kickboxing range and use his footwork like he does in his feints, and don't engage in the counters, right? Like 2 punches, roll out, move, get him to counter back. Once Toporia's punching, look for your shots, get him to the ground, use your size and power.
And then Frank, we'll sign off with this. Can you kind of break down to the audience how you would approach fighting for a title? Like if you knew your fighter was a boxer, if your fighter that you were going against was a wrestler, like how would you put together the camp? How would you put together the game plan to defeat him?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can use Tito as the example because he was like the last kind of
Poor guy.
guy.
That's crazy.
Love Tito,
Yeah.
but a giant man, a stronger wrestler, a stronger base, like literally a stronger being. And so my entire strategy was to go around the strength, attack, but then also go around that base. So in striking, we're striking, but we're moving out of the center. In wrestling, we're wrestling, but we're not pushing because he's too big. And so it was really wrestling around that base. And the whole strategy was to either catch him in 30 seconds or ride him like a horse until he shit himself.
Oh, yeah.
We went with the latter.
I love that. Ride him like a horse until he shits himself. Nice.
And then we see a lot of the audience basically asking questions, even like in the chat. People want to know like the state of the UFC. TJ, we talked about it a lot on the last podcast. Bobby Green was critical of it. The wrestlers, the offense, the defense, the way people stall or hold position. Do you feel like we saw a lot better fights this card? Do you feel like that is a specific type of fighter? Or like people they generalize the current UFC, but I feel like it's maybe just specific fights.
Yeah, it's just specific fights are that way. And until guys can get good enough and like have enough confidence to create a scramble that guys can't lay and pray, it's also the guy's fault on bottom, right? Yes, the guy on top is getting the win and he's doing it safe, but it's also the guy's on bottom's fault that he doesn't create a scramble. Like, you ain't holding me down. I don't give a fuck. Like, you take me down.
I agree with that.
I'm getting out.
Yeah.
Why, Frank? Break that down.
Because it's a show, it's a game.
Yeah.
And so if one guy is just going to hold you but not hurt you, then your job is to defeat that and make a game.
Yeah.
Because that you hold me down, it doesn't matter. If you hold me down and punch me, now we got a game.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of that. Like we're not going to stay there.
Yeah.
That's the game.
So in terms of putting together a camp, TJ, if you were in Arman's corner, and I know you've been training with him a lot here and you were part of a lot of the sessions, even with Khamzat Chimaev, how do you put together a camp now knowing that you're probably going to fight Ilya?
Oh, you definitely do some boxing rounds. And then just continue to do what you do. Like, he's very well rounded everywhere. But just getting in those extra boxing rounds with some good boxers in that close range to know where you don't want to be and just see the counters, right? And to make sure you're rolling, slipping, getting out of the way. We all know we got to train some great boxing and boxing defense and then get better at using that range. Like, use your kickboxing MMA range against boxers, right? And use your footwork, circle outside his shoulders, get outside to pour his shoulders, especially switching your stance up so I can avoid his power. And then when it comes to the grappling is like, keep doing what you're doing. Make sure your cardio is on point because then you take this one to the deep waters.
Who's going to have better cardio, Ilya or Arman?
Arman for sure.
Wow. And is that because of Sam Calavita and the way you think Arman trains?
And just how mentally strong Arman is, right? Like, yes, everyone, like all of us work hard, right? But to be able to push through your lactic threshold takes a mental being. It takes genetics, it takes work, but also takes like this mental fortitude that you're willing to do anything to get better, and you're going to work your ass off to get it done, and you're not going to listen to your brain tell you that you're tired. And I think Arman has that. We've seen it time and time. He doesn't need to be a fighter. Like, he can go and sit on his fucking ass and live rich, but he wants to be a champion,
And then last thing for you, Frank, is there a certain camp you remember when you were fighting for the title or defending it that was like your hardest camp?
The hardest camp I ever did was when I fought Igor Zinoviev in Louisiana for UFC 20, whatever the hell it was. And the hardest thing was that I knew how to beat him. I'd studied the tape, but nobody else knew what I knew. And so I had to explain to my coach, listen, I know exactly how I'm going to beat him. So I need to go here and do this and create my own camp and sort of finish this study. And everyone was like, you're crazy. You can't do that, yada, yada, yada. But it ended up being exactly what I thought it was. And so like we talked about earlier, when you know your body, when you know your strengths, when you kind of know your vibe, that's when you can get into this sort of, collaborative relationship with your coach. It's like, hey guys, this doesn't feel right, but I really like this. And I think that's where you go to the next level as an athlete, because you know your stuff, your coach knows his stuff, and then you guys kind of step up together. And so that was one of my first moments where I was like, yo, team, this is what I truly believe. And they were like, you're crazy. And then at the end, they were like, oh, okay, well, this is the new way. We're going to just go with these thoughts and sort of work with them. And that was like a new generation of sort of thinking.
Was there a fight that you remember that the martial art truly had a breakthrough where you were like, okay, the game has truly changed? Was there a certain fighter you fought against or a certain trainer you were working with or coach? Because I know how respected you are. Like even Luke Rockhold, I'll bring it up again. He talks so highly of the systems and the training you put together, AKA he really felt revamped the entire kind of system of how they trained. And it brought in a new level of kicks and the new level of striking. Do you remember a certain point in your career like, all right, the game's changed?
You know, I totally do, and it has nothing to do with fighting. I had a martial arts instructor who hired me to come out. His name was Dusty Everson. I just saw his plaque the other day. I have it up in my office, and I taught for him. I showed him everything I knew from everything I'd studied in that moment. He pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, I'm really concerned. What do I do now?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "How do I lead these people? I've been teaching in these techniques for 40 years, and I just realized there's better techniques." He goes, I don't know how to move on as a martial artist. And I said, "Dusty, no, you're on point. These are just new techniques. Give them to your people." And just that moment of conversation where he was like, "I don't understand what to do with the rest of my life because this stuff is so new." And then the combining of those ideas, like, you don't understand. We're all just trying to figure this out. Give it to your people. Wow. And that to me is what brought together this sort of, I was like a dumb fighter trying to survive as a martial artist. And in that moment, I was like a martial artist trying to survive as a fighter. It switched the whole dynamic for me. Yeah, it changed the whole world. Yeah. I still have his plaque. I looked at it this morning. I was like, the only man to be honest with me, the only man to go, "I don't know. And now I'm concerned because this is all so new." He was the only one. Everyone else was like, "Don't worry about it. I got this technique and, look over here and ignore this," and just completely bypassed the reality of the situation. Dusty Everson was the only man to say, "Hey, what do we do now?"
Wow.
That was power,
That's cool.
bro. That was real
do you
martial arts.
remember a moment like that, similar to him, where you could feel it and you could see what was happening? That's a crazy thing to actually be able to pinpoint. I didn't think,
bro, mind
blowing.
blowing, powerful. Like I to this day, every morning I wake up and I'm like, that man spoke the truth to me, and nobody else, including my own teachers, coaches, and otherwise, said that truth to me. Yeah.
Damn.
Do you remember a moment with you and your coach? I see someone in the chat said, "Is it true that Dom Cruz couldn't get into your head, so he tried to get in Dwayne Ludwig's head?"
Yeah, that's what he said, man. Because we
By
were
proxy.
Yeah, we were there at weigh-ins, and he was like trying to talk shit to me. I wouldn't even like pay attention to him. And I was just in line ready to kill, and I was also on weight. Wasn't very happy. And so then he's like talking shit to Dwayne because Dwayne gets
Dwayne's so nice.
Oh,
dude. he's the nicest guy.
But he's also got this short fuse.
He's a killer. Don't fuck with him. But
he's got this short fuse to where if you piss him off, he's like, "Oh fuck," And so he was trying to get in Dwayne's head, and Dwayne was like, Dwayne gets more nervous than I do for my fights. Like he cares that much, right? Like my fights mean the world to him, and I can tell he's in the line warming. Like he's got the nerves from even walking out the weigh-in, and Cruz is just like yapping in his ear to piss him off. Thinking if he pisses him off, he's gonna like start training me to try to knock him out rather than win the fight, right? So it's pretty crazy how Cruz's mind worked. He was trying to use every advantage. He was smart, man, real smart.
And that's all we have. I first of all, I want to say thank you to the chat for going crazy. Frank Shamrock, one of the biggest legends. I've had the pleasure and the honor of really hanging out with you a lot this year, and you really being around here. And we are trying to figure out a way to get you involved with the gym and have you out here to be able to talk to this next generation of fighters. But you're an amazing dude. You got so much love, so much good energy. Me and TJ were talking about it this morning. You always bring great, amazing energy. And if there's anything someone could get from you, it's the fact that no matter what you're going through, we always see a very positive, very happy Frank Shamrock, and we appreciate that from you. TJ Dillashaw, probably the best MMA analyst in the world right now. When it comes to breaking down fighters and the science of the fight, you see things that most people don't. And one, it's because you were a world champion, and two is because you were like one of the best to ever do it. Shout out to Joe Rogan talking about you very highly, very favored on his podcast. So I always want to say thank you for being on here. For everybody in the chat and everybody watching, we are going to be doing as many recaps as possible this coming year with myself and TJ Dillashaw. whether Rampage is here or not, because he's always live streaming. We definitely want to keep the show going. And we're definitely going to be having our normal Rampage Jaxxon Bear Degidio podcast with guests.
Can we pull up and see what Rampage is doing right now?
He's live streaming with two Chinese girls in Las Vegas.
I am certain he is. Okay,
He's doing something wild.
I'm sure he's in trouble, and I don't want any part of it.
And
I don't want any part of it.
Frank wants no part of that. And we're definitely going to be giving you guys a lot more behind the scenes content inside the cage as well, where TJ is going to break down things, break down techniques. Like I said, we are trying to put together an amazing show that gives you guys the best MMA content. You know, Jaxxon Podcast and the Jaxxon Media House, which has the Jaxxon Sports Show at Twitch, which is everything skate, moto, and surf on another channel, as well as our Jaxxon Podcast Show, which is me and Rampage, and then the Jaxxon UFC Recap Show, which is me and TJ and Rampage and special guests. We're just trying to give you guys great content. We're trying to work hard. Like you guys see, we're trying to make sure that we really dive deep into these fights and just give you quality MMA content. And I feel like hopefully you guys got that on this episode, and hopefully you guys see where we're going with this. I hope that you guys really appreciate what we're trying to do, because TJ puts a lot of time and effort into this, as well as, you know, the special guests.
Notes on notes on notes.
Notes on notes, and then also a training session right after this inside our Jaxxon Media House where we have the cage. I did get a call last night from Hamza and Arman. Both of them are on their way out here to Jaxxon Media House. That is a breaking news alert.
Dope.
They will be training out here in the next couple weeks. Both of them are in talks of fights, but we don't know yet who's fighting who or when they're fighting or what's going on. But they're working, and they're going to come out here and train. We're very honored, very blessed, and humbled to have those guys here training along with our other coaches and our other fighters. So it's a good mix of people here. So I definitely want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for supporting the brand. We're trying to give you guys the best jewelry for men, trying to elevate the confidence and the level of what we have.
This thing's fresh.
At the same time, trying to put together the best media and the best training center. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment, share it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Is this what Rampage is doing right now?
This is what
live?
Rampage is doing. He is
it live right
in
now?
his UFC octagon bed
Take
with
it,
his friend.
Take it live. I want to see it live.
Yeah, this is live. This is what he's doing right now.
What the fuck is he doing?
He's in his bed with his friend,
No.
not actually both together in the bed, but they're in their room. And he's showing him his UFC octagon bed with his new stairs. That's how he gets.
Oh, is that
in his
an
bed.
octagon?
Yeah, it's an octagon. It's the shape of an octagon, and it's got the stairs like you're walking in a
No.
cage. Yes.
No.
Frank, yes.
No.
Thank you guys for watching.
Okay,
We're out.
that's awesome. Peace.